school. This is our post-secondary pathways and timelines for 2024, 25. It's always a really important presentation to listen very carefully to, because lots of dates and timelines, all of those as it's starting start popping up, and you need to be very careful and pay very close attention. So as you know, we are your guidance team. So I'm Ms. Bridgman, N to Z. You see my email there. And so anybody with last name N through Z, I am your guidance teacher or guidance counselor. And I'm going to throw it over to the top of the alpha, Dr. Ross. He is A through F. And of course, you would know him also as teaching perhaps ILC last year. So he's out in the building. And also then we have G through M, Ms. Downer, our wonderful chemistry IB chemistry teacher, but also she's a guidance teacher. So that's who we are. Just wanted to show you this little page here. This is how you make a guidance appointment. If you don't already see this on our guidance Brightspace page, you can scan the QR code. They're posted around the school and primarily outside of the guidance office. So if you wish to book an appointment with us, that's how we ask that you do that. And that way we can track your information on our Google form, and we can get back to you. If you've requested an appointment, we can get back to you with a date and time, or sometimes we call you out of class. We also offer drop-in at lunchtime. So if you have just a quick question, if something came out of this presentation you're not sure about, you just want to pop in and ask a quick question, we're happy for you to do that as well. Okay, so we're here to help and support you. All right, so we just want to take a moment to review some information around what you need to graduate. So this information should be very, very familiar. You are close to the end. A lot of you already have 26 credits. Some of you have more than that if you're potentially in the IB program. But just to review, for the Ontario High School Diploma, the OSSD, you need to have 30 credits total to graduate. There are 18 compulsory credits that you need to achieve. And you would go through them in my blueprint, where you can track this information to see that you have. You'll be achieving your 4 English credits, your 3 math credits, your 2 science credits, your 1 French credit, your 1 history credit, your 1 geography, etc. Okay, that's the listing that you should be very familiar with. Then we have 12 optional credits that need to be earned. And those optional credits are totally up to you, and they have been based on your interests and your pathway, and also what's available, of course, in school. You would have chosen those optional credits, and you should be all set to go. Our grade 12s are a priority, obviously. So if there is an issue with the number of credits, or you're not sure, you need to check my blueprint. It should be uploading correct information now. And if you're then not sure, you can come and check with us in guidance. Okay, so credit-wise, 30 credits total. Then, of course, you need to pass the literacy requirement. So the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test, the OSSLT, that would have been administered in your grade 10 year, and then subsequent years if you were not successful in earning that. Some of you might be taking the OLC credit, which is great too, and that will earn you your literacy requirement. Then, of course, the 40 hours. We need you to complete those minimum 40 hours of community involvement. It's essential. You have to get it done. And so many people say, Miss, I've got it done. It's just at home. So we'd really love it if you could actually compile the information, put it on a form. They're outside of the guidance office on a bulletin board in a bright yellow folder. You can just pick up an individual form, write down all of the needed information, and then hand it in to us, okay? Hand it to Ms. Carvalho, our guidance office assistant, and then we will input that into the system. Please don't leave it till the end. And then lastly, last but not least, is that pesky 2 e-learning credit requirement. So some of you have chosen to take online courses, and I'm not talking COVID courses, I'm talking online courses that you have chosen to take through PRISM. So that's the e-learning, Ontario e-learning consortium or module that we work with. So if you by chance taken 2 courses, then that diploma requirement has been fulfilled. If you have not taken any online courses, then you need to submit a form saying that you are opting out, okay? Some of you have already done that in years past. However, we want you to know there is no consequence to your diploma, universities, don't have an opinion on whether you take online courses or not. They are quite open. Online courses are fine, and it's fine if you choose to take all of your credits in person. So, or through night school or summer school, if that's what you've chosen. So just make sure you have that for the opt-out form, the online opt-out form, bit of a tongue twister, signed and brought to the guidance office. We have copies here for you if you're not sure. We can also check to see if that form has already been submitted. Okay, so that is in a nutshell everything that you need to graduate. And please, again, if you aren't sure, we would encourage you to double check on my blueprint. And we're also here to check that information with you. All right, let's talk about resources. So last year, anybody who was here at Arundel in grade 11 would have met with us in the library, I believe in November, and we had several days of workshops talking to you, not just about course selection. We hinted about courses, but we also spoke to you about the process of researching post-secondary institutions. So we talked about what is an apprenticeship and what are the skilled trades, and we also talked about university and we talked about college. And we introduced you to several wonderful websites to start your individual research. And we were very clear saying that you need to start that information collection now, that dates come up and there's lots of things that you want to make sure, boxes you've got ticked, and lots of details that you need to be aware of. So because this is the year that you apply. So just to recap, if you're wanting to revisit some of those resources, of course, you can visit our Brightspace D2L. We have several sections on the Brightspace page. Everybody is already connected to it. And we encourage you to look at the content page because there's many folders with lots of important resources. There is a post-secondary folder. There's one that talks about how to finance your post-secondary education. And in that folder, there's scholarship information. So make sure that you visit the Brightspace page. Right now, it's last year's presentation that's posted. This one will, of course, be posted once we're complete and with the recording. Also, you see a picture there on your screen. This is on a pink sheet of paper for you. Everybody should either have a copy now or we'll be getting one tomorrow. So not to worry, you don't need it for this presentation, but it's basically an overview of all the dates. There's links, so we're going to post this as well, so the links will be live. And then some information all about the dates for application and when you would hear from universities or colleges, information about OSAP, and then a helpful website page as well with a QR code that you can scan and you can start looking at things on your phone, okay? If you want to just hone in on some of the websites. So a paper resource is important to take home to your families so they can also take a look at it as well. And just in case parents are wondering, family members, we will be doing a family recording and sending it out to all families whose students attend Arundel. So, okay, so please pay attention to all the detailed information that we share with you, because this is a team effort. We stay on top of it, you stay on top of it, okay? And we hate to have situations last minute where there's been a misstep because a ball has been dropped. All right, so our goals for today, what are we going to be talking about? So today you're going to learn, again, how to find information on post-secondary programs, not just depth of research, but where to find information about how to apply. We're going to go into the details of number 2 about how to apply specifically to a university program and a college program. We're not going to go into any detail about apprenticeship today because you don't technically apply for an apprenticeship using one of these modules. It's quite a different process. And if you're thinking that you would like to consider an apprenticeship or working in the skilled trades, there's a couple of different ways. One of them is through the college process. So I would say pay very close attention to the application for college component of this presentation. And then if you're interested in considering an apprenticeship, I would say book an appointment with one of us, your Alpha Guidance Counselor, and we will talk to you a little bit more about what that looks like, because it's there are more parts of the story that need to be shared. Could be another presentation. All right, so then we're going to review the important dates for both applications. There are lots of crucial dates that come up. And then lastly, we're going to talk about other items for consideration, including what happens if you have an IEP, what if you need financial support, and we're going to talk a little bit about scholarships. So that's the overview of what's happening today, and I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. Downer.
Hi. Okay, thank you. Where are you going to be starting to look for information? At this point, we are presuming that you have already done some research, so it's time to streamline your research. So you're going to be going to some specific websites. The first one that we want to recommend to you is Ontario University's info, OU info, or simply Google Ontario University's info, and this is the first hit that you will always get. Ontario University's info is very resourceful. You can search by program, you can search by university, and it is a great resource to tell you which programs to apply to, what those programs are requiring, or what are the prerequisites that you need, and so on. My Blueprint is also a great resource for searching for post-secondary programs. So we don't want to discount that, but our first stop right now would be your Ontario University's info website. And as we are speaking of universities, this weekend is the Ontario University's fair at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. It is free and it is all weekend, and it is a great way for you to do some research, grab a family member, head down to Toronto, jump on us up on the train and go down or on the bus. And there will be booths from all of Ontario's universities. You can gather information, you can talk with representatives one-on-one, and this is a great way to do some additional research before your applications. Next, let's talk about college for a bit. If you're applying to college, where do you go to get some information? The place to go is called ontariocolleges.ca. It is very similar to the Ontario University's info website, in that you can search by program, you can search by college, you are able to explore by category. If you want to look into the arts, if you want to look into engineering and technology, very, very useful website. This is where you're going to do some research for your programs that you would like to apply to. And for some additional information, you can go to the Ontario College Fair, the OSIF. And this is the weekend after Thanksgiving. So it's October 16th, 17th at the Exhibition Place. And you can go there, another road trip down to Toronto for the college fair. And it is another great place to find out wonderful information for your applications. Right here at Erindale, if you don't want to go to Toronto, you can meet different universities and colleges in our foyer on different dates. This week, we have Ontario Tech University visiting us on Thursday. And then next week and the weeks following, all the way to November, we have different universities and colleges in our foyer here at Erindale. Check the bulletin board in guidance for updates on this schedule, so that if you are particularly interested in speaking to somebody from Brock University, you can see when they're coming to Erindale and go and talk with them right here at our school. So that's a great way to start. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Ross.
Hey, thank you very much. Okay, so the question of the hour is now, you've done your research, how do I apply? So there we go. So how do you apply? Let's start with Ontario University. So if you are intending to go to university in Ontario, you will apply through the Ontario University's Application Center, also known as UAC or OUAC. You guys will be considered a Group A applicant. When you're going to apply, you will go to the UAC website, okay? You will create your own account using your OEN number, and I'm going to show you the website just shortly. When you create your own account and you use your OEN number is your Ontario education number. This can be located on a report card, any report card from the past if you've attended an Ontario school. If you still have questions and are unsure what the number is, you can stop by guidance and we will provide that number for you, okay? When creating your account, we recommend a 10-digit password that includes a capital letter, a number, and a special character. You want to make sure that this is unique to yourself, and please do not share this password. This is a very monumental process in your life. You don't want it compromised by somebody hacking your account or somebody going in without you knowing and making any changes. So please make sure you use a unique password. In addition to a unique password, you need to use your individual email. Please do not use your PO board Gmail. Okay, if you ever need to re-access this account after you've graduated for some reason, your PO email may not be active anymore. Okay, so which means your account will be frozen. So use your own Hotmail, Gmail, Yahoo email, whatever it is, Outlook email. Okay, but just make sure it's your personal email and not your pdsb.net PO Gmail, please. Okay, applications are now open, so you can apply now. Okay, so I'm going to click here to the OUAC website, which does not seem to want to open for me. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Okay, so ready to apply. So you can start and click the apply now button, or you can go up to the my account. Now, when you are applying, okay, you will probably have a lot of questions. This, if you go up, as you can see on the video here, there is a how-to videos. There are video instructions for you through the entire process of setting up your account, as well as you actually going through the application stages. So your first stop, if you have any questions or FAQs, if you would, will be here, okay? So all the videos are here. If you are still confused or something is still unclear to you, please feel free to come to guidance and we will help you through that. But your best bet is to visit these videos first if you are having any troubles. Not just because they explain what to do, but you'll see a visual as well as they're explaining it to you, and that should be very helpful to you. Okay, so this is the OUAC Application Center, what the page will look like. Now, here we go. One quick point. Oh, sorry, just go back. There we go. One quick point. When you apply, you can apply for 3 university programs, and the cost is $156. If you wish to apply to more than three programs, it'll be a $50 charge for each school. Some of these schools and programs do have supplementary application fees that do extend beyond the initial $156 charge. That will be specific to the school, and you'll be notified at the time of applying in the system if that is required. Okay, next. If you're applying to college, you will not go through the OUAC system. You'll go through a system that's called OCAS, which is the Ontario College Application Services. This is the Ontario College Application Services website. Okay, you can find it at ontariocolleges.ca. And much like the OUAC system, you will go and you'll create an account. When you're applying to programs, and you will submit all your applications through the OCAS system. There is a non-refundable fee of $125 to apply to college through this site. Unlike OUAC, which has 3 programs, the application fee for the colleges includes up to 5 program choices. However, there's no more than 3 at any one given college. And the programs must start within the same academic year, which is August to July. Your application, you should note though, will not be forwarded to the colleges to be reviewed until your application processing fee has been received. So a lot of times, a lot of people make an error where they set everything up. They have to wait some time before they can pull the funds together, and they assume that their application has been submitted even though they haven't paid the fee yet. Unfortunately, this is not the case. You have to make sure that your fee is paid in order for your application to actually be reviewed by the colleges. Other fees, again, may apply in addition to the $125 application processing fee, including if they require any extra transcript request fees. Some institutions have different processing fees. These are all additional charges, but they're not standard across every school. Each school is different. What is consistent is that the $125 fee for your initial applications to be submitted. Okay, so one question that's often always asked of us is, what information do Canadian schools see? And it's important to understand this, and I hope everybody's paying attention to this, because this is the area where a lot of rumors tend to spread, and it's not helpful. So, what do the Canadian schools actually see? Well, they see your marks only. Okay, specifically, they see your grade 11 and your grade 12 marks, first and second semester, midterm, and final marks. These are uploaded electronically by the Peel District School Board. So what happens is the Peel District School Board sends these marks from their system to the OUAC or the OCAS, and they're uploaded that way. There are no reference letters from counselors for any of the programs. Okay, some faculties and programs may ask for what's called a supplementary application, and this is usually when they may want to access more information about you. So what they will do is they will request an essay with information about what sets you apart from other candidates applying to the program. A lot of highly competitive programs also have now started to schedule virtual interviews as well. This is fairly new, but we're seeing it pop up more and more. So always pay attention to your application that in addition to marks, if they are asking for a supplementary piece, and if they want you to schedule virtual interview, or pay attention to the deadlines that they ask you for your supplementary applications, because while they may ask you for an essay, they may have to be submitted. They may also have a specific date that that essay has to be submitted by with your application, and it may not be when the whole thing closes. Okay, so a lot of times they want to see if you're able to do these things in a short window of time. So please pay attention to those supplementary dates as well. Full disclosure, this is another key point. Often in counseling, or often what students do in their grade 12 year is, let's say if we're going back to those graduation requirements and you only need 6 credits to graduate and 6 credits to apply to university or college, a lot of times students will take 7, sometimes even 8 courses, and they'll see which kind of course is working best for them as far as their grades or align with the programs they need. And that's perfectly fine. But what they intend to do is then drop the courses that are no longer needed for their application or graduation. And this is commonly done. However, one major mistake that can impact your grades, okay, is if you do not drop that course that is not needed in time. And that's what called is full disclosure is. Okay, so full disclosure is when the colleges and universities can now go in and see all of the grade 11 and 12 marks. Okay, so if you are considering dropping a course so it won't appear on your transcript, you must see your counselor before the full disclosure date. Okay, for semester 1, that is going to be November 18th. For semester 2, it's going to be April 26th. And one important point is that this date is not set by us. This is a system date. So we do not have the ability to override this or to prevent the marks from being sent to the universities after that date. So please make sure, if you do intend to drop a course, if you think it'll negatively impact your transcript or your application, please see us before this date. If you are under the age of 18 as well, we often will want to consult with your parent or guardian, okay, just for further approval and notification that you are dropping this course. So please give yourself enough time for this process to happen so you're not negatively impacted when applying to your programs. Okay. How do you apply for an out-of-province university? So this is a completely separate application process and an online application process. Each application will have a different fee for the institution and will be required to send a transcript. If you are thinking of applying to the Royal Military College, we've had a lot of students do that in the past. They have their application process, and you'll need to consult the website for specific details. The OUAC system, specifically for universities out of province, they do assist and have a process within that program for the universities listed on the site. I'm not going to read them off here, but there are a lot of universities across the country, and a lot of them do not go through that OUAC process. So please do make sure that you look through the application process for out of provinces. They'll be listed on the institution's website. And you can always bring that down to guidance and we'll help clarify some information for you. But just please note that primarily we are focused mostly on the Ontario schools, okay? How do you apply to an American university? Well, most of the schools in the US use what's called Common Application. That is their, or Common App for short form, that is their system. You do have to take the SATs prior to applying, so you need to check with the university specifically that you are intending on applying for to see if it's required. Some schools have recently, as time has been progressing, making the SATs optional, but you definitely want to make sure ahead of time that A, you write the test, and B, if whether or not your school needs it or not. This process is independent, okay? Your guidance counselor, us, will need to provide some information. Reference letters usually are required. But please do let us know if you're planning to apply outside of Canada, because the US, specifically university process, is timely and the marks are not automatically updated and it requires a lot of time on our end. So if you come to us the night before, it's going to be very difficult for us to be able to get all the information on time and for you to have the best chances for you to go into applying to that program to be competitive. So please leave both yourself and us enough time to make sure that the process is done properly and thoroughly. Oh. Okay, and I'm going to...
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ross. And I would also add for those US, they have different time dates than we do. So I'm about to go into important dates for applications. And these dates are Ontario dates, just making sure that you're clear on that. So it may not be the same dates if you are applying outside of Canada or outside of province. So firstly, these dates are dates that are important for the Ontario University Application Centre. So if you're applying to an Ontario university, the deadline to submit your application is January 15th. If you go in January 16th, you're late. Okay, there is a deadline of January 15th. You have to complete your online application and pay the fee and everything by the 15th of January. Okay, and there is no negotiation around the date. It is not set by Erindale. It's the Ontario University Application Centre deadline. Then May 29th, once you've submitted your application, you have quite a long wait. Some universities may respond to you earlier than this date, but the deadline by which a university must respond to your application is May 29th. They have to tell you whether they are offering you a position or not by the end of May. So that's a long time to wait, but that is the deadline for which they will respond to you. And then the earliest date that you need to respond to their offer, so you put in your application, the university responds to that, you also have to respond, and you need to respond by June 3rd. You need to respond to saying whether you are accepting their offer, and you need to make a financial commitment. Some universities require you to make a down payment as part of your response. It might not be much, but it is something to say that yes, you are taking the spot that they are offering you. So these are very important: January, May, and June for Ontario universities. And then we go to college. College also has some important deadlines, okay? Remember, you go to the college application center, you put in your application, and there are certain dates around that. In that November is when they will take the midterm marks, and then you can submit your application anytime from October to January. But the deadline for the college application to be completed is February 1st. The interesting thing about colleges is that they can start responding to you right away. So they can respond to you early February, mid-February, March. They can respond all the way up to late April. And then you have a deadline to respond to the offer, okay, which is May 1st. You need to respond by May 1st to the offer for any college applications. And then you may need to make a deposit in early June as part of that acceptance. So you've accepted, but you need to make a commitment by June, usually the first week or so. Colleges are a little bit more flexible in terms of when they respond, but you need to respond by May 1st, and you need to pay something by June for the college important dates. Oh, for colleges outside of Ontario, if you're applying a college outside of Ontario, you need to go directly to their website, and they may have different deadlines and different requirements. So pay attention to those things as well. Thank you. So we've talked about university, we've talked about college and how to apply and all the dates around that. But suppose you're sitting here right now and you're not applying this year. That's okay. You may be exploring other options, some of which include possibly taking a gap year. A gap year is a planned and purposeful break from study. So it's not just, oh, I'm home this year because I didn't make the deadline. No, you've decided that you're taking this break to explore some personal interests, maybe to travel, to develop some other strengths that you have that you were not able to pursue at school, or to work and earn money for your studies. Or maybe you decide to take a break so that you can upgrade marks in night school or in a different setting like adult education. Just note that even after a gap year, the process to apply for post-secondary schools should remain the same. So you would still go to UAC and you will still go on to the Ontario College's website to apply when you are ready after taking a break. Okay, some of you might take a break from applying this year because you decide you want to work right now. And I just wanted to explore a couple more of the work options. There are workplace opportunities available right after school. You may decide to work for longer than 1 year. And so you would want to look into some of these links. When we post this presentation, you can go into Express Employment, VPI, Youth Jobs, Jobs and Employment Ontario, or Indeed, which is very popular. Always know that you can always return to pursue more studies after you work for a while. And some study opportunities are embedded in the work that you do. So if you choose to do a certain kind of job, there may be training available from that company that would qualify as post-secondary education or post-secondary training that would help you to do that job better or to move up and be promoted in that job. So going to work is still an option.
Okay, Ms. Bridgman here, just popping back in before we move on to the next section. I just wanted to go back one moment when we're talking about when you're applying. Here, anyway, all of these slides. The one thing when you create your application and you're looking at all of these dates, you have to remember to check your email. And I know that sounds like a very simple task, but you are already receiving Gmails, right? From all your teachers and updates to Google Classrooms, etc., and from Guidance Brightspace. And then you probably have a personal email. Then you probably text. Then you probably also communicate on Snapchat and other, through Instagram, what have you. There's lots of information coming at you. But the one thing you have to remember, and if it takes putting a sticky note on your whatever phone, your computer, your mirror in your bathroom to check your email frequently, because once you start receiving offers from various universities and colleges, if you actually decide to accept one, then they're going to expect that you're going to take whatever next steps are required. And sometimes that means going through their portal and signing into whatever portal for the college or university to then submit necessary forms. Okay, so that's one thing that you're going to start seeing probably in May, maybe earlier. And you have to really make sure that you're taking time to respond to different questions and information that's required. Or you're going to miss things like when they start sending out emails about residence and how to book an appointment to apply for residence, etc. It's really, really crucial. And your families are super supportive, we imagine. However, they're not receiving the emails. You're receiving the emails because you're transitioning. Perhaps you're 17, you're 18, you're moving into adulthood. And it is up to you to take control of all of that information. So think about it now, start planning now, because it is up to you. And if there's a misstep, if there's misinformation, folks, that's going to be on you. Okay, so just keep that all in mind. All right, moving on. Other considerations. Do you have an IEP? So if you're a student who has had an IEP all the way through high school, or you're somebody who recently has had an IEP developed on your behalf, that means you have learning accommodations. And it's important to also start the process of extending those learning accommodations into college or university. So there's a whole process on how that's done. Each college and university deal with it differently, but generally there is a department called accessible learning that exists within each college or university. Sometimes they have a bit of a different name. It's usually on their website, but that's the department you want to connect with to then see what their process is to apply for a meeting to discuss accommodations. So you're going to be asked in those meetings to share your most recent psychoeducational assessment. So if you were assessed in elementary school and found to have some learning challenges, and an IEP was developed for accommodations, like if it was grade 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, it's going to be a little bit out of date, okay, or even prior to that. So you're going to need to look at having a reassessment. That's something that you would need to do privately. There's a cost to that because our school board does not do reassessments for post-secondary. So that's a whole other conversation. However, there could be some funding reimbursed through OSAP. So we'll talk a little bit about OSAP in a minute, but I would consider have that conversation with your family about what kind of a reassessment might be appropriate. And then of course you're going to have a copy of your IEP. So the IEPs they're being fine-tuned right now. They'll be sent out very soon in early October. And you want to make sure that whoever receives the IEP, I believe it's you and your families, saves a copy of that IEP. You have to keep a copy and then maybe even print it off for good measure, download it, save it so that you have access to it because you might be asked to bring that to a meeting. So very, very important. And there are you may have lots of questions. I suggest you, again, book an appointment with us to discuss any more information around accommodations or talk to your monitor teacher or your GLE teacher. Okay, so just wanted to bring that topic to your awareness. We also talked a little bit briefly about scholarships. So there's a tab on the Guidance Brightspace site where you can research scholarships. We have actual bulletin boards outside with all kinds of scholarship information as well as coming to us daily. So please make sure that if you're planning to apply for scholarships, that you leave enough time to collect all the information you need. Some scholarships are actual entrance scholarships that you don't need to do anything because they're based on marks, and they are often shared with you when you are given an offer to any respective school. And those scholarships are usually renewable each year as long as you keep a certain average in place from your first year to second year and so on. Some scholarships are program specific. So if you're looking to apply to a specific school and they have a focus on, a certain type of area that's of interest to them, let's say that they may have scholarships for every different faculty. So I would say looking at individual college and university websites under their finances or financing your education will have links to specific scholarships that might be from former alumni that go to that school or focused around, say, like environmentalism. I know Fleming College has lots of environmental programs. It's in Peterborough. They also have a big trades program there, and they have scholarships that are related to those different subject areas and areas of interest. If you need a letter of reference, which you might for a scholarship, and you might be asking a teacher, or you might be asking a coach or a community member, you need to make sure that you give them adequate notice for any kind of letter of reference. And that would also go to when we're talking about applying outside of Ontario, or to the US, or overseas to Europe. If you're applying to school there, they often need letters of recommendation, and you must give people adequate time to prepare them, specifically your teachers. So please make sure you ask in advance, because people want to help you, but people don't appreciate a short notice. Okay, everyone is very busy. So that's key information. On the Guidance Brightspace site, if you're looking for like a one-stop shop for all scholarships, we have posted in the announcement section, and I believe also under the Financing Your Education, something called the Scholarship Report. And the Scholarship Report it's a document that's produced by 2 retired guidance counselors who spend a wonderful job curating all kinds of different scholarships, and they have links to literally every scholarship in the province, unique scholarships, different scholarships connected to different businesses or different community organizations. You name it, it's there. So I would highly recommend that being your spot to look for scholarship key information and dates. And they send one out every couple of months, and we get notified that it's prepared, and we will post it on Brightspace for you. You can also access it independently online. We put all the information in the newsletter that goes out every week, because this is a special subscription that the Peel Board has purchased, so you need a special code to access it. So the code only goes to Arundel families, so that's in our newsletter for you. Okay, so please pay attention to that. We also know that there are national scholarships that are coming up. So for different universities, they offer national scholarships, which means we have an opportunity to nominate one student typically for each national scholarship. So we will be sending out individual messages on Brightspace that the national scholarship application is posted. If we're having to choose an Arundel student, that means that we need to ask all grade 12s. If you're applying to, Guelph University, for example, and you want to apply to the national scholarship, we need to see how many folks from Arundel are interested, and then we would vet your applications, and we would make a selection based on the criteria that the scholarship asks for. So, okay, so that's all coming. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, there's so many scholarships. Also, relative different places of work. If your parents are a member of a union, they often have scholarships as well. So please, ask around, because you just never know. Okay, so speaking of more financial information, financial aid and OSAP. So OSAP, you've heard that term before, I'm sure. It stands for the Ontario Student Assistance Program. It's a financial aid program that can help you pay for college or university, both in Ontario and outside of Ontario. So you can pay for schooling outside of the province with it. There's an application process. The process begins as soon as you accept an offer, but usually in the spring. So OSAP kind of opens like April, May. They want you to complete the OSAP application within 2 months, because then what happens is you apply, and then it's the university or college that is now involved in administering the funds. So, and you can apply, you may be offered a grant, which is money you don't have to pay back, or you might be offered a loan, which is money that you do need to pay back. So people talk all about being in debt with student loans. So be careful what you spend, and abide by all of the guidelines of OSAP. When you apply for OSAP, you're going to need certain information. It's all posted on the website, and you'll definitely need your family's tax returns. So depending if you're living with one parent or both parents, or your parents are separated, they will ask you all the detailed information, and you have to provide what they ask for. So because they're trying to determine whether you are a family that warrants being provided OSAP, either a grant or a loan. So sometimes families do make too much money, so they are not offered OSAP. I would highly recommend that everybody apply, or at least you can do an initial assessment to see if you would qualify. You can pop in some information, just kind of generally speaking, to see kind of where you stand. Also, if you are a student who does have an IEP, and you have a diagnosed learning disability or any kind of a diagnosed mental health challenge, and it's noted on by a licensed psychologist, you should apply for OSAP, because if you're granted OSAP, then you can also apply for some disability funding. So, okay, it's a whole process, but it's something that, again, takes time, but it's worth exploring. So OSAP can help you pay for more than tuition. It can help you pay for books and equipment, any fees charged by the school. If the school helps you to find a psychoeducational assessment, somebody to do that for you, it could repay some of the fees for that. It can also help you to cover living expenses if you're a full-time student. If you happen to have, perhaps you're a mature student, there's childcare expenses. They would pay for that. So, and the folks who run the financial aid offices at all the schools, they are the OSAP experts. They're the people to be in touch with, and they often have chats and all kinds of different information sessions and recordings and things that you can look at. So, so that's something to be aware of. One thing that I also want to note, so the universities and colleges that come to Arundel, the ones you'll see at the fairs, they have so many people invested in wanting you to come to their school. So they are businesses. You have to remember that. They're going to do anything to entice you. That is legal, of course. They're going to want to have you attend their school and be excited about attending. So you want to make sure that you collect your information really carefully. Deciding where to go is a personal decision. You're looking at your own family, your finances, you're looking at logistics. Are you going to live at home? Are you going to live on campus? Can you afford it? What does transportation look like? There's lots of things you need to talk about with the people who are supporting you. So, and those are your families. We can make recommendations, but we can't tell you what school to go to. That is your decision, because everybody is so unique. So we highly, highly, highly recommend that you visit the schools, you take advantage of the opportunities for campus visits. So when all these folks come to Arundel, they'll be like, hey, November, usually it's November and like April are the big months to go and visit campuses, because you need to see the residences. You need to see, and you need to feel the energy on campus. You might think that sounds corny, but it really is important, because you have to feel like, hey, I can see myself here. I really feel like this is a place for me. So take that time, and it helps you to also, you know, converse with other people on campus, get the sense of, you know, how people are enjoying their programs. You gather lots of information, and it really helps to have all of your questions answered by people who are living on campus and who know the programs really, really well. So, okay, so that's just a little side note. Myths and half-truths. There's all kinds of rumors. The Facebook groups are going crazy. Lots of parents are super anxious about your future, and you need to take a little bit of control of that and to say, hey, we got to find the truth, and we're going to ask the schools. Okay, so just keep that in mind. There's lots of people who want to say, hey, I want to apply for early acceptance, and we usually say that's not a thing, but now there are some schools that are encouraging students to apply earlier and earlier. University of Toronto is one of those schools, and it's because they want to have all their information in sooner, so they have more time to decide who they really want to make offers to, particularly for their highly competitive programs. So, so just be aware, there are some dates that are maybe earlier in November that maybe align. They want you to have your application in earlier, so that then you can do your supplementary application. Some of those supplementary application deadlines are like early to mid-December. So it feels like things are creeping a little bit earlier and earlier. You know, if you've been researching since grade 11, you might already be aware of this. But for those of you who are just thinking, oh, gee, I thought it was January. Well, it is January, but just be aware you might find some earlier deadlines that pop up. This is a bit of a push and pull between the school system and the universities. So just we are trying to keep on top of everything, but that January 15th, rather, 2015 is the final deadline for universities. Colleges, the deadline is February 1st. However, if you can see that there's room in the programs, and they'll show that on the application site, ontariocolleges.ca, you can still actually apply for some college programs. But again, the more competitive the program, you want to get your application in as early as possible, really. I think that's the best advice we can give. So some folks ask, is it better to have a commerce degree from McMaster University than a business degree from Brock? we say go visit, we say go ask, because really you have to see also like what are the courses that you're taking. Go deeper into the websites. Look at what courses you'd be taking in a commerce degree at Mac versus a business administration program at Brock. Brock is known for their sports management program. Maybe that's really your thing. So you're going to want to be around folks who have access to different high performing sports teams. You know, this is the kind of thing. Who are you going to be networking with? What are the clubs and groups on campus that you like and that maybe you would like to be involved in? So maybe that'll inform the program, because oftentimes programs are quite similar, but maybe there's a certain program that allows you to have more than one elective. So you want to go and do a minor in a certain program. These are what we call the nuances or the intricacies of all of the individual programs and requires significant amount of research. So that's what's going to inform you as you make your final decision. You'll do your 3 applications. Some folks do way more. You have to watch your finances and see, you know, how much money you want to spend on Ontario University applications, but consider, you know, really going and asking questions of the experts. Okay. This is a very expensive endeavor. You have to make it be informed. And also please note that you can't just think, oh, well, I'm going to apply for a science degree at a certain school and I'm going to just, you know, kind of find a backdoor into engineering. Sometimes you can change majors, sometimes you can't. So that's a question I would ask. I would also ask about what are the policies on deferrals. On that OU info site we showed you last year, there's many ways to look at not just the requirements, but also the details of the program and admission requirements and admission information that is kind of good to keep reviewing. So once you get your short list down to the schools that you want to apply. So that's just a few tidbits. Also something I probably should add that there's, you know, TikTok is everybody's favorite app, right? So there's lots of information on there about not just how to decorate your dorm like you're a Disney princess, but also make sure, you know, like there's lots of information about school cafeteria food and also program information. Be careful you're watching authentic accounts. They're not just accounts that are made by rogue students or that they're American, because there's a lot of American TikTokers that they have a wide audience. And again, some of the things that you would hear there don't apply to Ontario schools. So just, you know, be critical thinkers, as we know you are. Alrighty. So last but not least, we're here to support you in guidance. You know that. You can drop in at lunch. If you have a quick question, we're happy to answer them. If you request a more fulsome meeting after you've done some of your research and you're like, okay, I have some questions, can you help give me some of your perspective? We're happy to talk to you, but you need to come to us with that initial research being having already started. So this is how we can best support you, because then we can work with what you have and send you off and hopefully some directions that will allow you to make really, really good choices. So, and please know that even just stepping through the door of educating yourself about what next steps are is taking a step forward. There's a lot to do, but also it's a very exciting time. And know that you'll get really busy in June with graduation and prom and all kinds of things.